So welcome back everybody. Today we're going to modify an Xbox with an Aladdin XT Plus2 mod chip. To do this we're going to use a PAL V1.1 Xbox, a soldering iron, a glue gun, some liquid flux, Kina wire, and of course the mod chip, which is an Aladdin XT Plus2 mod chip. So I'm going to make a clear way and then we'll disassemble the unit. Right, to disassemble Xboxes you need two Torx screwdrivers. I've got a Torx set here. You need Torx 20 and Torx 10. Torx 20 for the case screws and Torx 10 for the internal screws. So the first thing to do is flip your Xbox upside down. Now I bought this Xbox from eBay and as such it's already been, someone's already been inside it. As you can see the screws behind the stickers have already been pierced and it's missing 2 feet, but it's got the other 2, which is a bit odd. But anyway, so we're going to start with the case screws. On these ones here, you peel it halfway back with your finger, not all the way back, which the previous user must have done. Insert your T20 and unscrew. So I'm going to do that for all 6 screws, including the 2 that are behind the stickers, and I'll come back to you until all the screws are removed. So back in a second. So with our 6 case screws removed, put them somewhere safe for the time being. Flip your Xbox back onto its top, like so, and now the case will just lift off. So just gently pry it up at all the corners, and then it'll just come free and lift off and put somewhere safe. Inside you can see that Xbox is basically just a PC, hard drive and DVD drive, using parallel, old tech. I've also bought a power to SATA adapter so I can put a nice big SATA hard drive in here, but I haven't got that yet. So next step on disassemble it, we want to remove the parallel ATA cable out of the back of the hard drive, gently. You don't want to bend any pins doing this, like so, and remove the Modchip power connector. You might be easy using a screwdriver to get in one side and pry it out. Let's get it started. And then we might be able to rock it out with our hands, like so. So that's that free. Next step, we want to remove the T10 screws. So here there's a T10 screw that holds the hard drive bay in. When we remove that we can take the hard drive bay out. So let's get our T10. And we'll just take this guy out. Right, so with that screw removed, just make sure your power cable's free of the hard drive casing, and then we'll just lift the hard drive casing free of the board. So just gently lift up, it'll come free. And free that there again. And then just put the hard drive base somewhere safe. There you can see the power unit and the heatsink. Next step, we want to remove the DVD drive. The DVD drive has 2 Torx 10 screws, one here and again at the other side, which is a bit hard to see, one right there. So we're going to take these 2 screws out and then we'll come back to you. With those 2 screws undone, just turn the unit to the back for a second, and we can leave the power cable and the parallel cable in and we'll disconnect them from the board. So just lift the DVD drive up gently and just move it back over the unit like so, and once it's like that we can remove from the main board the parallel cable, like so, and the power cable, like so, and then just put your DVD drive somewhere safe. So now we've got access to the main board. We could actually just solder straight in the mod chip, but what we're going to do is we're going to take the main board out completely. So as you can see, there's Torx 10 screws all over the main board. They're pretty much everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all the T10 screws and then come back to you. Right, so with all our Torx screws removed, we want to undo a few cables. So the power cable that connects the fan to the main board, just pull it free. At the front of here, this cable that connects the 2 control ports 1 and 2 to the main board, just lift it free. Move over. Down here there's another one that connects pads 3 and 4, so we're just going to pull that free. And this yellow cable gives power to the ring of light at the front and the eject buttons and so on. Just pull that free. And then we need to remove the Molex clip that connects the power cable. So this is a bit tricky, this one. Like so. So that's the Molex cable free. Hardest way to remove. With all those wires now removed, we can just lift the motherboard free of the unit. I recommend lifting from the heatsink and lifting up this way so the ports come free at the back. So let's gently do that now. Up, pull towards you a bit, and it lifts free like so. Put it somewhere safe. And we'll move the base somewhere safe out of the way. And now we have our main board fully disassembled and ready to solder on. We solder the mod chip into the LPT ports here. I'll get the mod chip ready now and get a lens cap so we can see better, and we'll solder it in. So back in a second. Right, so this is the parallel port here where we're going to solder the chip in. Let's get the chip out. This is our mod chip, SST chip on a board with a pin header slot, and this is our pin header which we're going to solder to that LPT port, and then we're going to attach the mod chip to. Right, so we actually soldered this on the, we put it in at the front, but we soldered it onto the back. So we're just going to put it in now, and then we're going to tape it down from the front. So when we're at the back of the unit, it's not going to move, and we can just solder it in place. But it's got an extra pin in and a blocked pin there. So we're going to take that one pin out of the pin header. That one pin's missing there. Now we'll be able to fit it through our through holes, like so, and it sits plush against the board. So now I'm just going to put a piece of tape over it to hold it in place, and we'll solder it in on the reverse. This is just temporary, just to hold it in place while we solder on the other side. So let's go to the other side now and begin soldering it in. So there you can see all our pins coming through. Let's heat up our soldering iron and get it in. Right, so here goes. We're just going to heat the point for a couple of seconds. Bring solder to that point so it flows, and you get a nice shiny point like that. And do the next one. That's a better angle for me. So, heat the point for a couple of seconds. Bring solder to the point so it flows. Like so. Heat the point for a couple of seconds. Bring solder to it so it flows. Like so. And let's continue. Like this. Heat the point. Solder to the point. And there we go. Heat the point. Solder to the point. It's a nice shiny one. Heat the point. Solder to the point. Nice and shiny point. I've just changed solder. I think the solder I was using was a bit old. So I'm just going to redo those points that I wasn't overly happy with. So I solder to them. Yeah, nice shiny points now. The solder I was using was old and crappy. You can hear the flux sizzling away as it gets heated. There we go, much better shiny points. There we go. You got to go. Last one now. There we go. So that's all soldered in. Right, so the mod chip, you see the pin header there, will sit onto the pin header this way like this. But before we install it like that, we've got a couple of points we want to solder onto the board itself, so let me take it off. We need to do the famous D0 point, which is notoriously difficult, and a couple of other points specifically for the Aladdin XT. Right, so if you see the point R3G3, you can just move it around a bit so I can solder in. So we're just going to apply some solder to that point there, the right hand side of it. There we go, a nice pull of solder. Like so. And now we're just going to glue it down. Sorry, you didn't say that, it was off camera, but I'll just glue it down there. Use a bit too much glue, but it's alright. And then we're going to route this wire just up past this chip. I'll come this way. I'm just going to glue it there. Looks like that stick. Just remove that dog hair. Route it over this way. Just route it along here. Let's put a tiny bit of glue. There. Let that dry. And then on the mod chip, if you can see the point BT, that's the point it's going to be soldered to, so when it's in place here, we'll solder that on there, and you can see it's playing it through, and it's a nice tidy wire. We're not going to solder it in just yet because we want to solder in the D0. You can see there, D0. So we're going to put that cable in, and then we'll solder both points on, and that'll be the mod chip done. Now the D0 is a famously difficult point to solder. This chip here that I'm touching, this is a T-SOP, and coming off it, here where I'm touching, that's a D0 point. Absolutely minuscule point. There's an alternative point on the back, but we're going to try and solder this top one, this really difficult point, because it'll be fun. What we're going to do is we're going to apply some solder to the Kino wire. Normally you don't put solder on Kino wire at all, you don't tin it, but we're going to put some solder on the wire and then put it into the point like I was just doing, if I can do it again. Stand it up and then try and heat it like that and solder it in, and then bring it over to the chip and solder it on. So that's our plan. Right, so just before I solder it in, I'm going to give it a little scrape with a razor blade. So it'll stick better. Just like that. Changes colour slightly when you do that as well. And we're going to put a tiny bit of flux down as well. Tiny bit was a lot. Right, and if you can see my cable, I'll just put it into view here, because it's got a tiny bit of solder on it, so we're going to put it in the hole, then heat that solder, and it should stick to the D0 point. That's our plan. So we're in the hole now. There we go, if you give it a light tug up, you can see we've soldered to our D0. So that's known as a very difficult point, but if you know what you're doing, it's not that difficult. So next up we're going to stick the Modchip on the LPT port, like so. Right, so if you notice on the back of the Modchip, some points are accessible. This point here is the D0, and this point over here is the BT. So I'm just going to apply a small pull of solder at each of those points and solder on our D0 cable and our BT cable. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm just going to heat that pad a second and apply a pull of solder to it, and if I move it over to the BT point, same again, I'm just going to heat that pad and apply solder to it. Now I'm just going to cut my other end of my wires to size and then solder them in. Right, so I've shot my BT cable and bared it. I'm just going to solder that in now. Like so. Give it a little tug, it's secure. Now for the D0, I'm just going to shorten that and do the same thing. So my D0 cable's being shortened now. Right, soldered in. Give it a little tug, it's secure. Right, so that's the basic install done. What we've done is we've soldered on the pin header to the reverse side of the board. On the top side of the board we've attached the Modchip to the pin header. Let's see if we can get that down there. We've then soldered in the D0 cable to the difficult D0 point on the front of the board. You can see, to the D0 point on the Modchip. From the BT point on the Modchip, we come along, down to the resistor there, R3, G3, on the right hand side, and that's soldered in there. So now we're on to reassembly. So lifting from the heatsink again, down at the back, up at the front, so you can get the ports in first. And make sure, again with these wires, make sure you lift them all up. They like to fall down underneath. Like so. Turn the machine around to the back and just look to make sure your ports are lined up, which it is. Then what you want to do is reconnect all these cables, so we'll connect controller ports 1 and 2 first. And it goes, dead simple. Next we'll connect controller ports 3 and 4. There we go. Then we'll connect the power to the front board, the ring of light and the power and eject buttons. Then we'll connect the main power Molex cable. This is a lot easier to go back than it is to come off. That's it in, nice and solid. Then we'll connect the fan to the fan's power on the motherboard, like so. Next I'm going to return all the T10 screws to the motherboard, so I'll come back to you once I've put all them in, because it'll take a while. Right, so with all our T10s reinserted all over the place, next up we want to reinsert the DVD-ROM. So firstly we want to reconnect the parallel cable and the power cable. Doesn't really matter which order you do this. Make sure you put the parallel cable in the right way. You'll notice it's got a little groove that'll only go in one way, so make sure you put that in the right way. And make sure you line it up right before you push, because you don't want to bend any pins. And then next up we're going to reconnect the power cable. Again, it's got little grooves on the sides of it, so it'll only fit in one way. Right, so with that in, with those two cables in, we can now reseat the DVD-ROM. So just flip it into position, line it up. It's getting caught on some cables. Line it up, make sure it's sitting flush at the front, which it is doing. And then we can reinsert the T10 that sat down there and sat down there, so I'm going to do that now. Next up we want to replace the hard drive. Before we do this though, we want to fit our power cable through the gap in the unit here, like so, and once it's through, once it's through like that, we can then begin to seat it. And once you've got it in, make sure it's sitting flat with the metal casing, it's not rising above. And then what we want to do is stick the T10 back in there. So the last of our T10's done. Next we want to connect the power and the parallel cable to the back of the hard drive. I go in with the parallel cable first, because it's a bit more fiddly. So again, it can only go in one way, so make sure you go in the right way. And push with equal pressure on both sides. And then finally, the power molex in the back of the hard drive. Push that in nice and tight and secure. Turn it back to the front. So that's basically it. We just need to put the lid on and then put in the base case screws. So I'm going to do that now. Just line the case up correctly. It should just slot on. Like so. Make sure it's sitting flush all the way around. Which it's not on the back, so we'll just make sure we're lined up correctly. There we go. And then once it's lined up all the way around, flip it upside down. And now it's time to return our 6 Torx screws. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'll come back to you once I've got them all in. So back in a second. Right, so that's all our screws in. Well, as I was saying before I started this, the previous owner, I'd been in it before. He'd replaced the DVD drive, a Philips for a Samsung. It's lost these feet here, so I've got a dead Xbox I've been using for parts, which I've just taken 2 feet off. I'm going to glue them down here and here and just pop them in place. So I'm going to do that now. Right, so small amount of glue in this area. I'll put my foot in and just glue it down like so. Take off the excess there and let's spin it around. We'll do this one. So small amount of glue there. Squash it down. Right, so that's the Xbox fully reassembled with new feet. So just turn it upside down. Well, the right way up. And we're done, we're ready to go testing. So I'll set it up and I'll show you testing it. So back in a second. Right, so here we've got evo-x build 3935, which is the latest version. We're just going to edit the INI file. So if you see the INI file here, auto launch games, no. Auto launch DVD, no. The ones we're going to focus on here is audio player. So it's saying xbox-.xbe. That's the Microsoft dashboard. We're just going to rename that MS xbox-.xbe for Microsoft, and again for MS dashboard we're going to rename it MS xbox-.xbe. Use F drive, yes. Use E drive, yes. Scan original, blah blah, that's all fine. Don't use in-game reset. Right, for the network we're going to set this up to match my network settings. You'd set it up to match yours. So for IP I'm going to just give it 44. I sort of use for different devices 22, 33, 44, 55 like that, so 44, just an easy way to remember them. For the default gateway, set it up to my default gateway, which is 254. DNS, I'll use Google's DNS, which is 8.8.8.8, and secondary is 8.8.4.4. Jump to MS dash, no. Enable FTP, yes. Enable Telnet, yes. Everything else can be left as is, I think. Games. Should we add a section for emulation? No, we'll just have it as apps. Right. So we'll save that. Close and save. You could delete some stuff for me. You could delete the readmes and the trader source. Yes. And you could delete the NFO. Yes. I'm going to be burning this to a CDR, so Xboxes expect media on a DVD or CD to be default.xbe, so we're going to name it default.xbe, and that's that. So that's that set up, so we'll close that now, and we'll open Quicks here, and we'll go to create ISO, from a local folder, and we'll browse to the folder, and it's on our desktop, and it's Evolution X build 3935. OK, and we'll just click Create ISO. It asks me where I want to save it. I want to save it on my desktop, and we'll just name it evo-x.iso. So evo-x.iso. Save ISO file created. OK. I'll close that now. Right, so now we'll just burn that onto a standard CDR. So I'll come back to you once I've burnt it. So my burn of evox is just finishing now. Just finished. Right, so let's go pop it in the Xbox and test. So let's grab evox. Let's close that up. Right, you notice if I power on the Xbox, I'll just power it on by opening the drive. Stick evox in. Boots with the flubber, and it's just going to go to the Microsoft dashboard, basically, as if there was no Modchip installed. The standard dashboard. Let's turn it off. Right, now if we boot by holding the power button for a second, so it'll come on with the evo-x logo. That evo-x logo is the BIOS. It's not the disk that I've just burnt, but it is going to boot the evo-x dashboard here, like it's just done. So now, first thing to do, we'll go to System Utils and Settings, and see that it's got our IP address there. So what we're going to try and do now is FTP to the box. So we're going to try and quick connect to it. Right, so we're just going to connect with the IP address that we set in the INI, and that's showing in evox that's booted now, 192.168.0.44, and the password is Xbox, and the username is Xbox, and let's try connect. Come on mouse, where are you? Connect. And there we go, it sees all the drives. C, D, E, F, G, X, Y, Z. The only ones we're interested in at the minute is C and E. So we're going to C. What we want to do is we want to back up. This is our all the dashboard files and all the Xbox files for the original dashboard. So what we want to do is we want to back that up. So we're going to create a new folder on my PC, and we're just going to call it Xbox C, because it's the Xbox C drive we're backing up. And we'll enter that directory, and then we'll just highlight everything in this directory, right click and click transfer, and as you can see it's queued them all up there, and it's going to transfer them over. So this will take a while, and I'll come back to you once everything's transferred. Okay, so as you can see, this is our Xbox hard drive over here, and now mirrored on my PC is a backup of that hard drive. What I want to do now is copy evox to that C drive. So I'm just going to jump down to our evox folder there, and we're just going to copy all these files over to the C drive, so transferring it back the other way. This will only take a couple of seconds. Queue them up there, and I'll start transferring in a second. Off it goes. So I'll come back to you once this process is finished. Right, so that process is finished copying over there now. Transferred 37 files in 2 minutes 14 seconds. It takes a while because there's lots of small files, so it's starting and stopping. Now, basically on this C drive here now, this Xbox C drive, we've got the Microsoft dashboard, and we've also got the Evolution X dashboard, or evo-x. Now, what we want to do is this here, xbox-.xbe. How the Xbox works is when it boots, first it looks for a default.xbe, which is an Xbox executable. It looks for that on a DVD, so if you've got a game in, it'd boot that. Then if there's no game in the drive, what it looks for is xbox-.xbe on the C drive. So no game in the drive, it boots this file here. So we're going to rename this to ms-xbox-.xbe. So Microsoft.xbox-xbe. So let's do that now. Just type in ms. Right. So let's do that. then this default.xbe, which is the evox xbe, we're going to rename to xbox-.xbe. Oh, 2 xb's there, aren't there? Let it rename. Right, there we go. So what will happen now is when the Xbox boots, it'll first look in the DVD drive. If it sees a disc, it'll boot the default.xbe on the disc. If it doesn't see a disc, it'll boot xbox-.xbe on the hard drive, which happens to now be our evo-x dashboard. When it boots evox, we can then ask evox to boot the standard dashboard if we want to go into the Microsoft dashboard, but we don't. So we're going to disconnect now and head back over to our Xbox. So if we take the disc out the drive, like so, and we power the guy off, now when we boot it up, Evolution X logo, it should boot the Evolution X dashboard. So there we go, no disc in the drive, and we're booting evox. So next up, we'll show you backing up a game. So we'll pop in one of my favourite games, SSX Tricky. So we'll pop that in the drive. We're going to back this up to the hard drive. So now what we want to do is we want to reconnect to the Xbox, like so, and we want to change the directory. Let's go up at directory to D, which is the DVD drive, and give it a couple of seconds for it to get a listing. There we go, data and default.xbe. So these are that's the one file and the data folder on the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that to our PC. So let me go make a directory I can copy it in there that's got enough space. Right, so in our empty folder here, which is QSSX, we're just going to copy these two files, well, folder and a file, to that directory. So this is going to be 4 GB big, so this will take a while. So I'll come back to you once this game's finished copying to my PC. So you see all the files queued up there. So back in a second. Right, so we've mirrored the D drive, which is the DVD, to our PC, our QSSX folder. You see that took 22 minutes to copy over. Now what I want to do is go to the E drive on the Xbox. So let's hit up and go up a directory, go into E, let's get a directory listing. Here we want to make a folder called Games, make folder Games, okie doke, I'll give that a second. In the Games folder, we're going to copy over, and we in Games, we're going to transfer our SSX folder, so it queues it up there, and it's going to copy over here, and this again will probably take 22 minutes. So I'll come back to you once this is done, and I'll show you booting our backup. Right, so after 33 minutes we've got SSX in our E drive games folder. So it took quite a long time to transfer, but there we go. So what we're going to do now is head back to the Xbox, and we can remove SSX from the drive and put it back in its case. Like so. And we'll turn off the Xbox and show it from a cold boot. So it's going to go into evox. We go down to the launch menu and press A, Games, SSX Tricky, it says Evolution X, and away it goes booting. Big. So there you go, let this movie play for a bit. See, game in the case, playing from the hard drive, Modchip installed, Another successful modification. If you enjoyed this video, please rate and subscribe, and join me next time when I do something else cool. So bye everyone.